We're good.
Can we start now?
Yes.
Okay, we are starting right now. Sandy Grigsby. Sandy Grigsby is a personal branding, I wouldn't say expert because she's beyond expert. She literally owns that space, and whatever you want to define as branding, but you can't define it the way you want to because you have to ask her to define it. How do you define personal branding?
Personal branding is, well, it's a process of creating a narrative for the story that you want the world to see about you. So what story do you want to tell? And it's everything from the way that you look, the way that your messaging is, the way that you put your images out there, the words that you put on your website, the words that you put in your LinkedIn, the videos that you create, your social media awareness, everything that you put out there, that is your personal brand. And personal branding is the process of creating that and making that happen.
Okay, so colors, like
yes.
what you're wearing.
Yes.
Right? That's personal
branding. A lot
branding.
of people don't see how important that is.
What color of your car?
You know, it does send a clear message. If you're driving around in a lime green car, people are going to think one thing about you as opposed to if you're driving a white car or a black car.
Do you use, I know you're very, very focused on personal branding because you're the spokesperson. When you go to the gym, do you dress in your personal brands?
I try to.
I know you do.
That's only because I'm in love with my personal brand colors.
Yeah.
But not everyone is. It just, and if you aren't in love with your personal brand colors, that means you need to reset it. Do something different.
And this idea of personal brand colors, you actually have a step process, which we should talk about, not today, but there is a way, maybe we need to go through this for people later on. And believe it or not, it utilizes Pinterest.
Yeah, it does. Pinterest is a big tool in creating your personal brand look and feel.
People realize, they think, oh, Pinterest is for women. No, it's not. It actually is about you, but you have to exercise and use it right. But that's another story. If you don't know what your personal brand is, we'll be talking about that as we move forward. That's different than personal branding. Personal branding, first one, I think you need to know your personal brand before you do personal branding. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. You need to understand what your personal brand is, the look and feel, and how it's going to flow before you can actually create it. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole process to that.
And market it. Yeah. So this year, the things we'll be diving in on Unity are not just your personal brand and personal branding, but your presence. You as a human, as an entrepreneur, as a thought leader, what is your presence on stage, off stage, in the media, on print, and in legacy? Your presence is so important because I think most of us forget about presence-based. So when you're standing there in front of people, how do you want them to interpret you, and what is your message to them? And how do you make sure it's always consistent? And how do you always make sure you're making an impact? So your presence is key. And that's what we're going to be doing in 2020. Perfect vision around your presence. Sandy and I spent a lot of time because earlier this year, her and I started sitting back thinking, what do we feel people are doing wrong? And we started with this idea of speaking on stage. They're just doing it wrong because no one's ever held their hand to show them how to do it really well. But then we started to realize it wasn't just about giving presentations, but about being that person they're supposed to be. Presence. And this whole year, we're going to be focusing on presence. And I think that's perfect, right? Sums it up. Mm-hmm. So today, to start off the beginning of the year, somebody who I'm incredibly impressed with. He's part of the group called Metal, which I'm an honored member of. And Greg, who is from Australia, who has been watching the fires in the biggest way. Greg is joining us, and Greg's company called Narrativity shows brands, companies, and individuals how to utilize movie genres to identify who they are, what they are, so they can have proper presence in front of their customers and people. Did I describe that right, Greg?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it.
Good. Hey, Greg, give us a little background about yourself.
Yeah. I started life at 19 as a copywriter for Leo Burnett in Sydney. I've spent nearly 30 years in advertising, branding, and marketing. And Narrativity came about nearly 2 years ago when again and again, I heard experts say brands have to become better storytellers, and I don't think anyone disagrees with that. And I was kind of excited by that. I went to a lot of conferences like South by Southwest and went to everything about storytelling, and I kept hearing the same thing: why brands need to become better storytellers, because our brains are hardwired to love stories. They emotionally connect us. We remember stories, but nobody told me how brands should become better storytellers.
Wow.
So here I am in LA, the best storytelling place in the universe, where every movie is written to a formula to hook us in. It's why we watch crappy movies from beginning to end, because we want to see them achieve their quest. And so I spent about 6 months translating movie formulas for brands. And I have a whole lot of different ones. I do a log line, I do storylines, I do a consumer love story, I do a backstory. But what we're going to do today is 2 very simple ones. And the 2 things I start every client session off with is genre and the quest.
Okay. Genre and the quest.
Shall I get into that?
Yeah, let's do it. Share your screen. Greg has given this presentation in front of another audience recently, and they went nuts because things became clear to them.
I'm really excited for
Okay.
this.
I think you kind of saw this already, right?
No.
No. Okay. All right, let's do this.
So the genre, you may think, I don't have a genre. Genres are for movies. And actually, really bad films haven't actually thought what genre they are. And when a movie changes genre throughout, we as the audience get confused. And so every screenwriter thinks about what genre they're in before they start their story. And it's kind of the same in business and as a brand. Before you even create your brand, you need to know what story you want it to be. And it's all about knowing the world you are playing in. And once you decide this, it provides amazing context and clarity, not only for your audience, but for you. And I've found genre is actually the last thing I've added to Narrativity. And ever since I've added it, for me, it's opened my eyes to what the client wants to be and where they want to play. And it really informs how I write about them. So I've translated every movie genre into a statement that is true about the genre, but is relevant for brands. So these are all the movie genres. There's a drama, which is all about dealing with what life throws at you. Love stories are a highly emotional connection. A thriller sets pulses racing. Horror stories are overcoming unexpected obstacles. Sci-fi, the future is here. Fantasy takes you away from the everyday. Action films get stuff done. Comedy puts you in a good mood. Documentaries open your eyes to learn something new. The superhero saves the day. Crime films, are you out to achieve justice? Experiential is hard to fit in any category. Historical is amazing, but it's also true. Westerns are a new frontier. Musicals are uplifting life. War films about defeating the enemy. Family is kid-friendly, and adult films are sexy and exciting. Actually, I've seen a few adult films that are not that exciting, but but you are 1, 2, or even 3 of those things. And when you look at that, you will probably go, I fit into a number of these categories. But I think what you want to do is look at, what do I want to tell the world the space I'm playing in?
Yeah, I'm looking at this real quick. I'm trying to figure out Sandy's genre. And I'm wondering, Sandy, real quick, do you look at fantasy? Because you're not.
Away
Tell
from
me real quick,
everyday.
what are you, Sandy? Look at the genres that are here. Now, individual and companies, can you do both? Can you, so Sandy, as her brand,
I already know what I am.
okay, what are you?
So much superhero.
You're a superhero, right?
That
you
one's
say,
like a dead giveaway. Yesterday, my photo shoot, I superheroed it all
yeah,
over the
but
place.
that's not your brand, is it?
That's so much my brand.
That's your brand? Superhero's your brand. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So what's really, I'll give you an example of Hyperloop, because I did this with Hyperloop.
Got it.
And I went in there thinking they are so sci-fi, the future is here. And they went, oh, no, no, no. That's what the world thinks of us. Everyone knows we're the future.
They're war, aren't they?
Our biggest issue is no one believes we are real. So they, you know, this shocks me to this day, but they went with historical. But it made sense because they are amazing, but they're true. They're real. And when they told me that at the start, that changed everything I wrote about them. I didn't use the word futuristic, tomorrow at all. Everything I wrote about was this pipe dream is real. It's tangible. Wow. And that's what they needed to tell.
So once you understand your genre, does it help you illustrate, or I know the about page in your mind is generally literally the desert on somebody's webpage, meaning they think everyone goes there, but there's no life on it whatsoever, right?
Well, it's just you talking to yourself. You're in a room by yourself in a mirror thinking you're fabulous. So about us, because it's called About Us, you just go, I better tell everyone all the great things about me. No one gives a stuff. So your About Us has to be, what villain do you fight against it's your backstory. What villain do you fight against that your customer hates as much as you do? What struggle have you gone through to overcome that villain? And then what transformation took place to allow you to overcome that? It means from the start, they go, I hate that thing as much as you do. Oh, you're struggling. I want you to win. Oh, yes, you succeeded. You're amazing. I love you. I want to work with you.
Greg, let me throw a couple of brands out real quick and you tell me what they would be. You ready?
Yeah.
Nike.
Nike's definitely a love story. And
horror?
I don't know if it's unexpected obstacles. You know what? They're kind of a love story superhero, but rather than they save the day, they want you to save the day. They want to empower you. Okay.
Let's go with Tesla.
Well, Tesla, I think, would be sci-fi. But I also think they're a war sci-fi.
Oh, I agree with that. Matter of fact, Elon Musk always says, what enemy or what is your enemy? He thinks that way to combat what he wants to do. So you nailed it on the head. Let's go to a different car company. Let's now talk Ford.
Yeah.
One car company to another, it changes, doesn't it?
It's action.
It's action.
Get stuff done.
That's it, just simple.
Yeah. Like we'll get you from A to B and we'll do it really well.
And then if you look at a high-end clothing brand, what would be a high-end clothing brand?
Oh boy. Max Mara.
Do you know what Max Mara is?
Yeah, I'm a homosexual. I reckon Max Mara would like to think they're a thriller, that they set pulses racing, that when you go into a Max Mara store, the butterflies start because it's beautiful stuff.
Okay, so it's
he's right.
but you said one genre for them. Is it, if you have one genre, does it make it clear as what your message point is, or the more genres give you more depth?
Look, it's most clients I work with are usually a combination. Ken, when we did metal, you chose 3, but and you're to this day the only one to greedily take 3. But I work with a home loan company, and there are sci-fi horror film, and they were excited because they were aliens, but
Okay.
they wanted to show that they are the future. The future is here, and you can overcome unexpected obstacles. So there's no rules whether you're one. It doesn't necessarily make it clearer. Sometimes one's not enough for what you want to say.
So everyone right now that's watching this, I want you, for your personal brand or for your company, I want you to pick your one or two genre. And if you're bold enough to have three, identify that, because we're going to be changing the slide in a moment. If you want to do a screen grab of this, go for it. But I want you to pick something. So as we move through this project, you'll understand why it's important to identify what you are. And you said yours right away.
Superhero.
Superhero.
Totally.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Bam. Okay. So Glenn, you got yours. Epicek, do you have yours? Richard, Ava, everyone, Jolette, do you have yours? Okay. Now let's move on. What's next?
This is the most important thing you can do. It's your purpose, your mission, your big, hairy, audacious goal, and your customer proposition all in one. What it does, it creates a simple statement that you can tell people what you are and what you're about and what your purpose is. But why it works, it puts your audience at the heart of everything you do and tells them why you matter to them. And a lot of times when you do your missions and your purposes, it's just you talking about yourself again.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example. This is the Quest formula. It's the action of what you're doing, the audience for who you're doing it for, and the value that you add to their lives. Don't worry, I'm coming back to this slide so you can write it down or capture it. But this is the example. I worked with this funder in the UK called Ultimate Finance. And when I started working with them, their mission and purpose was to be the #1 independent funder for small to medium businesses in the UK. They were #3. And then we went, what's their action? Relieving. The audience is business owners, and the value they add to their lives is from the pressures they're under. Now, if you're a small business that needs funding, you can't sleep at night. And when a funder says, we're going to relieve you from the pressures you're under, wow. Do I want to hear that? Or do I want to hear they want to be the #1 independent funder for small to medium businesses in the UK?
That's their goal.
That's their goal, it's their business goal. But they were saying that externally. So we put this now out externally, and within 6 months, they went from #3 to become the #1 independent funder for small to medium businesses in the UK. Also, think about when, as a business, your staff goes, how do we make decisions against our purpose or our mission? And if that's to be the #1, I don't know if this is going to make us #1 or not, but I know if it's going to relieve business owners from the pressures they're under.
Yeah, but Greg, so one is an action and the other one is a position.
Yeah, so yes, but this is, I think the closest this is your purpose.
Your purpose.
But again, it puts your audience at the heart of it. So everyone you want to attract, you're telling them while you matter to them. Here's some quick ones. Athena Home Loans, this is the home loan company I work with. Freeing borrowers from the mortgage handcuffs. Who doesn't want that from a mortgage company? Frollo is a new app that's helping people with financial literacy, helping people feel good about money. These are people who are struggling with money. Oh my God, this is amazing. NAS is a 30-year arts organization that teaches leaders in arts and culture, shaping the arts leaders who reshape the cultural landscape. Defy Ventures takes people here in America who have just come out of prison and helps them start their own businesses, giving people with criminal histories the best shot at a second chance. Hyperloop is bringing together visionaries to do something truly meaningful. and one of my favorites, this is a celebrant called Zoe, and make sure modern couples have the best fucking day of their lives.
No, but he likes that. This is interesting because Sandy and I wrote a purpose statement. In the purpose statement that we say badass mofos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we felt good.
Yeah.
Even saying badass motherfuckers. We actually said good, felt good saying it because that's exactly what people want.
Exactly. I mean, you know, I've written a whole article on Forbes about why brands should swear more, because it engenders trust, honesty, and passion. But does that give you an idea of, you can see in all of those, the first or first one or two words is the action. Then it's the audience. Think about your audience more than just women 25 to 35. For Hyperloop, it was visionaries. And what value do you add to their lives?
That's interesting. So if you, are these taglines or are these not taglines?
They're not taglines. See, the beauty of this is it can be your pitch. When people go, well, what are you about? We're giving people with criminal histories the best shot of a second chance. We're relieving business owners from the pressures they're under. You can use it to explain your business, but it's your purpose. You look at it and go, every decision you make, is it achieving my quest? The reason every film works and we watch it to the end is to see the hero achieve their quest.
So like Metal, we inspire the curious to be great.
Yes, to be greater.
Greater, yeah, we inspire the curious. Greater and greater are very, very different, by the way.
Yeah. So there's some really key things in that, Ken. You start, and for you guys, I always start this formula, not by the first one, like what you're doing, it's your audience. Start with who your audience is. Now for Metal, we spent a bit of time working on that, but the curious, there's many different kinds of people who come to Metal, but there's one thing that unites them all. So find what is the common thing with your audience. For Hyperloop, it was visionaries. They said to me, Greg, we're going to have to do 10 of these because we have 10 different audiences. We have investors, we have staff, we have governments, we have communities. And I was like, okay, well, let's just see. When we got the audience of visionaries, they went, oh my God, that's everyone we're talking to.
That's the goal.
What's
your tagline? Because you said it right away the other day.
For Verify?
Yeah.
Show the world your best self.
Show the world your best self.
Yeah. And so that's a tagline. What it doesn't have for the quest is the audience. Sometimes you can lose the audience, but you would say, showing entrepreneurs their best self.
So you have to identify something as the audience first.
Yeah, because it's going to help you find your quest that's important to your audience.
So yourself is too generalized.
Yeah. So think about a specific audience that unites. Then, this is the most important thing. Then go, so what value are you adding to their lives?
So if I sell travel experiences, that's what I do. I sell travel experiences to people. How would I identify first the audience? Is people too general, or do I have to dive a little deeper? Like in Metal, we use the word the curious as that individual. If I sell travel experiences to people, how do I work that?
So if I just take that one step more specific, I would go, rather than people, it would be travelers. And then I would go, is there a specific kind of traveler that your travel agency is trying to attract?
Okay, got it.
So, and I'll give you an example related to travel. I did this with Ryan Thompson from Metal, who's creating a travel brand, and he's making it from recycled plastics to be much more environmentally responsible. And he was like, well, travelers, but these were travelers with a conscience. So the audience we came up with him was noble nomads.
Oh, I love that. Oh, no.
And his quest was helping noble nomads carry a clear conscience.
Here we have a question from Abby Abisek. What is his question?
How about biz desire? Give wings to your business.
Give wings to your business. Is that too generalized?
So that's a tagline. You're trying to turn it into a tagline. So my question there was, who were you trying to give wings to your business?
And wings is too generalized also, isn't it? Because
I think there it's just you're trying to put your business name into your quest. Now it may or may not. And this is the thing, we can't, in everything I do, in every single section of Narrativity, our natural response, and I'm as guilty of this as anyone, we try and tell the world what we want to say rather than telling them what they want to hear.
We have another one. Who else do we have?
And so what all these formulas do is...
Let me throw one more at you. Go for it. What do you have?
Helping families create unforgettable memories.
Yes.
Bingo. You hit it, right?
Bingo.
Literally hit it. Families, which are the audience, and then the action at the end.
Yes.
Good job. Okay.
But yes, helping, was it helping families?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So helping is the action, family is the audience, and create unforgettable memories is the value add to the lives.
Yeah, perfect.
It's a really simple formula, but it has everything that people need to know about why you matter to them.
All right, so that's your quest. Action, audience, value.
Yes.
As long as you have those three components in there.
And what you may find is for certain things, you may go, I'm talking directly to my audience, so I can take that out. But to get to your quest, you need to do this formula. Start with the audience, value second. Usually the action writes itself.
Okay. Hey, Glenn, I see Glenn. Glenn is there. Glenn, do you know what I want to hear? I'm going to unmute Glenn. Glenn, unmute Glenn. Glenn, there you are. Glenn, what are your action, audience, and value?
I was just processing this. I was actually working on my my genre, but I work with a lot of speakers, and there's two categories. So I have the motivational speakers, the ones that are inspiring others to take positive action or to overcome some type of challenge, and then I have the startups that I create investor decks for, which are, in a way, they're overcoming certain challenges. They're solving a problem. So I was just trying to formulate, kind of combine both of those, because I think there's a common element. There is something that with the decks that I produce, that I create for them, it is solving a problem. It is overcoming whatever that challenge is, whether it's a personal thing or whether it's something that their startup company has allowed a certain problem to be solved. So I don't.
And look, I think it's obviously you're in genre world going, what space am I playing in for them? But if I just quickly look at you and what you do, you present presenters with their ultimate presentation. That's your quest. You present presenters with their ultimate presentation.
I love that.
That's $20,000, Glenn. That's awesome.
But can you see that the action present, your audience is presenters, and the value add to their lives is their ultimate presentation.
There you go. Let's go to Joette. Joette is what?
Helping businesses develop successful teams.
Yeah. So and so I would spend a little more time develop successful teams a little more unique. You know, like help businesses make their teams kick ass, or, you know, it's feeling a little dry, a little corporate, as opposed to presenters with their ultimate presentation. So this absolutely nailed the structure. Now it's just, how do you make it a little more unique? So the formula works really well, and it's structured really well. And as an audience, I can see the value you add to my life, but
Let's see if,
I'd fix it up a bit.
Can we get Brandon on? Brandon, who is, I think he's right here. He's in South Africa. Brandon, can you hear us? Brandon.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Brandon. So what is your action audience value? What's your quest?
My action audience. So is this for which business exactly?
Which one's your most important business? So entrepreneur. Which business?
Yeah, well, the macadamia business, I guess that's a very good question. So right now we're focusing on a niche that hasn't been catered for at the moment. So we are in the health business, and I think what a lot of companies do wrong, they go after a niche that has a lot of companies banging at their door. So obviously, like a lot of people going into the fitness game, and they hit up bodybuilders and everyone. On niche, we're trying to diversify a little bit into more lifestyle. So focusing on people that love the outdoors, fishing, hiking, rock climbers, those guys. So that's kind of the niche we're focusing on right now. So attending all those sorts of events. Yeah, that's currently our audience.
Brandon, I'm going to ask as a friend. I thought the goal was to be hyper focused in the business. How many businesses do you have going right now?
So I have a full-time gig, and then this House of Macadamias thing is still a side hustle, but it's only 7 of us right now. So I have one full-time gig where I'm managing the online e-commerce platform for a company that is helping us sell a product I bought in from South Africa.
But that's not your product. That's not your product. Is your macadamia nut company, right? That's your path.
Correct. Yeah.
Let's focus on your macadamia nut company. By the way, most people don't know this. Macadamia nuts, which I love. I don't. Do you like them?
Yeah, I love them.
Right. South Africa is a huge provider of macadamia nuts.
I know, it's crazy.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So Brandon, who are you in Joburg or Cape Town right now? Where are you?
I'm in Johannesburg right now.
Okay. So
Brandon, what does, I mean, I know macadamia nuts, I'm Australian, but what value do you add to your customers' lives?
Great question. So the biggest thing we've seen at the moment is that there's a big trend now, obviously, towards healthy eating and people being more aware of plant-based foods. We believe that macadamia nuts, if you look at just the raw nutritional profile, it is superior to peanuts, almonds, and cashews, just based on the fat content, things like omega-7 fatty acids, which are quite unique. And the biggest issue I found was because there are a lot of middlemen in the supply chain between the farmer and the consumer, the price gets almost 3x by the time it reaches the customer. And we wanted to build a direct supply chain. And the great thing about sourcing from South Africa is we don't pay import taxes into the USA thanks to Bill Clinton. So he signed a very favorable trade tariff. So we managed to get farm prices straight to the customer. And we also have very good relationships with farmers, which allows us to source at quantities that we can then put macadamia nuts into products that haven't been done before. So we're doing all sorts of macadamia-based products. Bars, obviously butters have been done before, but we're doing macadamia milks, we're doing macadamia cookies, and really try to give it the accessibility it has been given that almonds, peanuts, and cashews share. So pass on those savings, allow customers to experience tasty treats without paying the price. That's kind of the
So you have a
value.
direct relationship with the macadamia nut growers. So your tagline should be, know where your cheap nuts come from. No.
Yeah,
No.
That's a good one,
Or
Ken.
who's handling your nuts?
That's actually a really good one. Can I take that? I have to pay you royalties.
No, it's not. It's horrible. Greg, what's your thought?
Well, Brandon, you just got to decide, is your audience macadamia lovers, or is it broader than that? What would you say?
It's a very good question. So our brand is all vegan and keto. So our macadamia bar is vegan and keto bar. Our macadamia butter is vegan and keto. We're doing macadamia crunchies, which is almost like a cookie that's vegan and keto. So I don't want to go as broad to say it's the entire plant-based and keto community. I'd like
Okay.
to focus on a smaller sub-niche in that community and then branch out. But it's a very good question, and I feel the only way to get that question is to actually have a product in the market and to get product sales data. So,
So
but it's a
I,
great question. I wish I had a better answer for you than that.
I think the thing about macadamia is it's a high-end food that actually has really great health benefits, but it's always expensive. So what you're doing is you're showing the health conscious just how great life can be. Now, people will go, fuck, how do you do that? And you go, we've taken macadamia, made it cost effective, and put it into all these different things in your life.
Yeah.
$20,000 check, please write it out to Greg Logan.
No, Greg, that's outstanding advice. So would you then recommend regarding target audience or who is our ideal customer? Because it's a tough question. I mean, everyone seems to eat peanuts and almonds. I don't know exactly what the target niche there is, and I don't want to be too broad.
You don't want to limit, Bren, you don't want to limit. You want to say the health conscious or life lovers.
And you wouldn't think that's too broad? You think that's fine?
No, because you want, I think with your product, sometimes you've got a broad product that you actually need to be more specific about. You've got a product that needs to expand and show the world.
It's more like that.
Because people, there's lots of people who can tap into macadamia, and what you're doing is you're democratizing macadamia.
Wow.
100%. Yeah, no, correct. We want to give it the limelight that peanuts, almonds, and cashews have without the price tag. That's
Exactly.
kind of
yeah, so you're showing the health conscious just how great life can be.
Excellent, Brandon. Thanks
that's
a lot,
awesome.
buddy.
Thank you, Greg.
See you the end of the month. I know you're back from Joburg the end of the month. So, Greg, continue.
I am. Thanks.
Not a problem. Sorry to stop you mid-track on these things, Greg, but continue on.
No. Well, that's where that's where we are. I mean, if anyone else wants to talk about what their quest is, but as I said, there's much more that comes off this with Narrativity, and telling your longer stories and writing your website, and there's a formula for every page of your website. But these two things set you up for everything.
It's interesting. So Sandy interviewed me for my about page about me.
Yeah. And
I think that maybe it was the story about me. It shouldn't be help me out. The about me web part of a page is different than
so I think what a lot of people do
Sorry, that was me.
Oh, okay. What a lot of people do, Ken, and I think yours is similar, is you kind of write a kind of more engaging CV.
That's what we did. We wrote a more engaging CV as well, or bio.
Yeah, and look, I think with a lot of companies, I just say put all that under your backstory. Because people want to know, who are you? It's why we love every hero of a film, is because shit has happened to them before the movie starts. And
but think about that. I like what you just said regarding heroes, because Thor's about me would be different than Daredevil's about me, because Daredevil would write it literally about him, where Thor's would be about Thor from a third party, because Daredevil is bold enough to say, this is me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? There's almost like,
and that's fine. It's how you write the story in your tone, that's specific to you. But So for you, what enemy are you fighting against that your audience hates as much as you do?
Well, the enemy is I see the future clearer than most.
Yeah.
And Sandy did a great job of illustrating that. You know, I was always years ahead of everybody else. So if, as long as you follow the path that I take, I'm going to allow you not to make as many mistakes because I already know what the future is.
So your enemy or villain is standing still?
Clarity and focus. Clarity and focus.
Things being unclear. Because it's what, when your audience reads it, they got to go, I hate that. I freaking hate that.
Oh, ooh, no. You know what? Then Sandy's easier than me in that aspect. No, because people after. Let me just tell you. Yesterday, Sandy did a photo session with this girl, nice, beautiful girl, and when Sandy took, I'm not exaggerating, maybe the first or second photo, I heard Sandy jump and sing, and she doesn't show the photos to the individuals to the end of the day. But the girl saw her picture and she started to cry. She says, wait a second, that's me? She goes, absolutely. Sandy brought out the inner beauty of that person. And now that person goes, I have to change everything. I have to change my website, the way,
Yes.
because I didn't see myself that way.
Exactly. So it's interesting because, you introduced me to Peter Hurley in New York.
Yes.
And I was just talking in principle about the backstory and how it works. And the villain, he goes, lack of confidence. That's my villain. And every client I come in, they don't see themselves like the world sees them.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as you say lack of confidence, your audience is hooked because they go, oh my God, that's me, right? Then you talk about what struggle you've come through and you go, I lack confidence and blah, blah, blah. Now they're rooting for you. Like what have you done to overcome you've learned to work with people, make them feel comfortable, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh my God, yeah. And then what transformation's taken place to allow you to overcome that?
That's the enemy.
Yeah.
It really is. Lack of confidence.
Yeah.
God, it's so easy for you. That was easy.
Oh, it's so easy. It only took me like 30 years to figure it out.
But you know what? None of us can. My hardest client is me because I'm too close to it. It's you can't objectively and powerfully write about yourself. You can't see what the rest of the world sees in you because you're too close to it. If you think about an entrepreneur, and I come across this all the time with startups, by the time they get to me and I say, what's your business? It takes 10 minutes because that business and that idea has evolved over time. So the story just gets added to. It's never edited. It never's changed. And because in your mind, this is the business. This is the story. Yeah. So that's why you need someone from outside to come in and go, this is why you're important to the rest of the world.
So what's a good litmus test we can do to know that our about page of our website is crap?
The big question on anything you're doing is, am I just telling the world what I want to tell them? Or am I telling them what they want to hear?
Yeah.
So always start with who's coming to this page? Why are they here? What do they want? What do they want to know? And that's why the backstory formula works, because I know they're going to be triggered by what you hate that they hate as much as you do.
I think I did that on mine. I'm pretty clear about that. So because I focus on the confidence in people and showing them their most amazing selves. So in my backstory, in my bio, I go down to the nitty gritty of how I lacked confidence and how I had to find it and the whole story all the way up.
Because there's a difference again between the about me being about Sandy and then about the business.
Yeah.
There's two different things happening there, right?
Yeah. And About Us is never really about the business. It's really about the starter story or the business story. You know who did it best is Steve Jobs. So when he launched the iPhone, he used the backstory formula. So he came on stage and said, all these supposedly smartphones, enemy. Instantly, we all freaking loved Palm Pilots. We loved Nokia.
My BlackBerry was the bomb.
And in a few words, he created an enemy from his competition. All these supposedly smartphones are meant to be smart, but it's difficult. I mean, no one thought they were difficult. He instantly painted them as an enemy. And then he talked about what Apple, the lengths Apple has gone through to overcome the enemy of supposedly smartphones. And then the transformation was our finger. Look what you can do. He used classic storytelling formulas. That's where the backstory.
So what he did right there in that talk on, I think it was January 17th, 2007, was January 7th, he created that pain without us realizing it was painful. We thought it was innovative and we thought it was what we had to have. He, in a moment, showed us it was painful and hurtful. Wow. He's the greatest at that, right?
Oh yeah, he's genius at it. And this is the thing is, all these experts saying why brands should become better storytellers. He knew how. And that's what I've done, is taken all these formulas or created formulas to make sure you don't fail in telling a story that connects with what people want.
So I want to, again, use Sandy. I'm sorry, I'm using you as an example, but
Yeah,
you do it so well. She does a before and after type situation. Here's the person before I met them, and this is what they were using as their front branding, their front imagery. And then this is me within a moment of spending time with them. And it literally looks like one world compared to another world of difference. She's not storytelling, she's creating visionary connection. Is that just as powerful of what Steve Jobs did? Because what she did is she showed, and I don't want to call it the enemy of your past, but she showed an old personification of a person and then the new image of the person.
No, I mean, what Sandy does is show the world what you want the world to see.
No, it's deeper than that. It shows the world of what you're inside, the beauty of your inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I focus on is showing people, so you know that moment when you're talking about what you're passionate about, what you're really good at, and you're telling that story to a group of people that are new, or maybe you're really close friends, and you get excited and you light up and your skin starts to glow and this energy shines and you just become so radiant and amazing. Mm-hmm. I captured that moment to show the world. So it's a moment that's already in you. It's the best and most amazing version of you that we lock away sometimes when we're not feeling good or we want to deal with stuff. We put that back, and it's that moment that comes out, and I find that moment and I pull it out.
She'll never talk about the process because the process is her secret formula. Yeah. No, but it really is. Mm-hmm. And someone will always say, well, how did you do that? And she'll automatically say, that's an experience. No one cares about process, right?
No, but I would say, because in the backstory formula, after the struggle, you need to talk about the transformation that took place that allowed you to defeat the enemy. Mm-hmm. So even if it's, and I hit on a secret formula to bring that out. It's okay, like that draws me in even more, because you've got some secret sauce that no one else has. No. But but you need to talk about the transformation, that there is a thing, something happened in every film, something happens that transforms and allows the hero to achieve their quest. So
Greg, what happens when that person or brand changes? Let me just give you an example. Another Aussie friend of mine, his name is Brett King. He focused on banking. He's written 5 books on banking, Bank 1.0, 2.0. And then he decided, I'm a futurist. So he went from finance to future. And by the way, he's done a good job of the transition. What happens when a brand does something similar, where they focus on one aspect and then decide, oh, it's time to switch? How do you make a migration?
So it really goes back, what we just did earlier, your genre and quest. Your genre, his genre may be sci-fi, the future is here. Now that encompasses both things he did. His quest may be showing the world, or helping the world through its greatest pain points today and tomorrow. Right. That actually both, even though he's pivoted quite a bit, it's true to who he is. But if after a while you sell your business or you get bored, you can do this all again. You can go, okay, now I'm doing this. So what is this?
Yeah, but what happens if it's a person? So let's take Glenn. Glenn, who's focusing on helping people have great presentations. And let's just say Glenn now has done great. He's sold his business and he wants to be all fitness.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about being 50 and fit and looking hot and all that.
It's not 50.
50 and fit, yeah, he is, 52.
You told on yourself that.
How do you make, because now that storytelling, that quest for the company, which is Glenn, now has changed for Glenn. How do you do that crossover?
You just tell a different story. I mean, you know, Martin Scorsese has told many different stories in his time.
You look all the same. Every movie looks the same.
I know. I picked the wrong example there. But you know, you're telling a new story. You've got a new villain. You've got new tensions to go through. You've got new people to come and help you achieve that quest. Like you just tell a different story.
And I think it's okay to tell more than one story. One of the biggest things I hear from my clients over the years is, I'm in this one industry and I want to do this other thing, but how do I go from this to that? Because it's going to confuse my audience. And I'm the perfect example. I said, my audience isn't confused. I'm very clearly a personal branding photographer, but then I also am a confidence coach. So there's 2 distinct things and they flow together and they get it now. So it's just about just doing it, just telling that story. People are used to kind of the jump around that people do multiple things. We're not robots. We don't just focus on one thing. We are
there will be core traits and values that you carry across all of them that gives people the reassurance that you're just the same person and I'm going to get a same result, but just in a different way. I'm in a different part of my life.
Exactly.
I love this. Now, people out there that are watching this, Greg made it look very easy because he's very good at what he does. And you know this saying, and I want us all to say this over and over again, a professional is expensive, but an amateur is a fortune, okay? I had plumbing issues, the house.
Yes, you did.
The plumbing issues of the house, and we tried to fix it as amateurs, and it cost a boatload of money later on bringing a pro in. If I would have brought a pro in right away, it would have got fixed at a fraction of the cost. It's true, right?
Yeah, it was actually cheaper to bring the pro in by the end.
It was.
All the fixes and floods and mopping and lots of trips to Home Depot.
Over and over again. And I didn't know Home Depot sells inferior products. Whatever. Call in a pro right away. Don't go, oh my God, it's so expensive. It's not. It really isn't that expensive compared to what you're losing when it comes to your brand, your positioning, your story. You call in a pro. Greg is a pro. Period. Right, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely. Best.
Own it.
Um,
Before we go real quick, Greg, I just want to make sure we do a shout out because you just had a fairly traumatic situation that popped up with you in Australia. And I'd like to, at least the people that are here, realize that Australia is touching the world in most respects. It affected you. What happened with you personally?
yeah, my property in the Blue Mountains of Australia, my happy place, was hit hard, and I lost my house and a couple of.
Can you do me a favor real quick? Can you pull up a picture?
Oh yeah, where is
Why
that?
don't you show us a before and after real quick, just so people know. And I want everyone to understand that this fire, if it's a narrative, it's a, God, what narrative would the fire be? Is it it's a thriller? No, but it's an enemy. The fire is an enemy. And if we can put some genres around it and know what that enemy is, then we can start casting our quest to go defeat it. Because the fire is an enemy. People don't realize that the fires that are happening in Sydney and Melbourne have blown across the world to where the smoke's now coming to Perth.
Yeah.
Background.
It's mind blowing. It's going over South America, over literally crossing the planet. This is the biggest fire the world has ever seen.
I think we're seeing it too. Oh, that
I
might
know.
just be haze.
So look at this. This is a before and after. This is Greg's house on the top. Greg, tell us what we're looking at.
Yeah, so that's a side-on shot of my house here. It's right on the cliff of the national park, which burnt, and it came up over here. The fire brigade told us this week we had fireproof windows that will stand up to 1600 degrees Celsius, and they melted. So the heat was hotter than 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's a lot more. It's devastating. It just ripped through everything. All our neighbors have lost their house, and it's destroyed all the land, the national park, and all the animals within it.
That's almost 3,000 degrees, by the way, everyone.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yes.
You will burn all your bread very quickly.
yeah.
But you know what was amazing was, look, everything, that glass melted. Our sofas are dust. Like, you can't even see any remains of them. In the bathroom, the roll of toilet paper is still there.
What?
What kind of toilet paper is that? That's some powerful toilet paper.
Oh my.
So random. It was in a little nook. See all the stacked stone stayed up.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a little nook that was stacked stone, and obviously that stone protected it. But amazing.
So the next house can only be built out of stone.
Toilet paper.
And toilet paper in the stone.
Toilet paper. Greg, you did a fundraiser to help people in Australia around that. Do you want to briefly?
Yeah, no, I had my second committee meeting last night. It's actually quite exciting. We're doing it for America, and we've created this new charity. It's called United Mates, and it's all about the bonds between America and Australia. And it came from all these celebrities were saying, like Diane Keating and Renee Zellweger were saying, how can we help? And so we've decided they can donate one thing that's important to them. Diane Keaton's going to donate her bowler hat and sign it, and Renee Zellweger is going to give the amazing Golden Globe dress that she wore the other week. And we're going to auction them all online. And then we will have, it's looking like Anzac Day, which is the 25th of April. We're going to have a big in-person event fundraiser an auction too. So it's really great to be part of it. I haven't told anyone that all funds will be directed just to me.
No. Everyone has to also remember that fire season just started. There's another 2 more months of fire season in Australia. 2 more months. So this is not something that's just going to end. It's going to continue, and it's possibly going to get worse. So
yeah, and it's going to happen in California. Like it, you know, it's kind of scary. I mean, the thing that people are talking about now, and I hadn't thought of it, is a lot of people just haven't been going to work because the workplace has been unsafe, because even in the big cities, the smoke has hit the cities and it's inside buildings. And but now there's going to be a huge effect on costs of food. Apparently milk and dairy is going to skyrocket. It's crazy.
is there a website where we could contribute and help out, Greg?
There will. I'll send it, because we're building. I mean, we started this on Saturday, and probably in just about a week or a bit, the website will be up.
I think what we'll do is we're going to create a Unity area, maybe in LinkedIn. Yeah, we're going to create an area in LinkedIn, which is going to be our Unity space. And all of our speakers that have been joining us will be inside there. Greg will be our first, because you'll be the first of the year. And then people like Michael Bruce and Cameron Sinclair and Peter Hurley and all the other ones that have joined us will be part of that also. So messages and ideas will come from our mentors that are part of Unity. Just real quick, everyone understand, Unity is something that we have come up with to help entrepreneurs get out of their way to find their success, because most of the time you're in your own way to find where success is. And we're planning some incredible activities this year to where you literally will go, and I don't want to call it boot camp, I want to call it success camp. And in 1 week, you take your idea and turn it into a legitimate, real business that's launchable by the time you leave. Because most of the time you go to these great events like Tony Robbins or Brendan Burchard, and they give you all the knowledge, but the problem is the action. We've got to give you your knowledge that gives you that courage to take the action. So by the time you get home, you see the ka-ching somehow, somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what Unity is.
The action steps are the hardest steps.
They are.
You can take all the tools, you can know all the knowledge, you can know it so well, you can teach it to other people, but to actually do it is a whole nother thing.
And you've gone through this yourself.
Many times.
Yeah, you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I have.
And
I have launched many businesses, and I have watched them crash and burn, and I've also watched them be successful. So the hardest part is just doing it. And I've launched things that took years. I thought of it and I didn't know how to start it, and then I'd start it and then I'd stop, and I didn't know what to do, or there'd be a big snag and I didn't know how to get over that snag. So Unity is here to help you get over those snags with people who actually know what they're doing and have done it, been there, done that, to get you to that next level.
And they get excited about doing it with you. See, there's a difference. Because you know, a lot of people, they come, they show up, they say hi, and they give you some ideas and they leave. No, these people want to be part of your success. I love that. So that's what Unity is, and it's professionals that are helping you do that. So you want to bring in the pros all the time, because amateurs out there, you're costing us a fortune. So Greg, Logan, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Pleasure. You did a quest then before, helping entrepreneurs get out of their way. What was the rest?
To find success.
Yeah, that's a quest.
Oh,
helping action entrepreneurs audience get out of their way to find success, the value you add to their lives. Boom.
Boom.
I'll write somebody a check. Yeah, we can say $20,000. I think it's very good. Again, we apologize for this small snafu at the very beginning. Our messaging would be better next time, which again, next time is next week at this time. We do it early because we want to start your day off in a great way. So use the knowledge that Greg has shared with us, and Sandy and myself. And we're really looking forward to seeing you next time on Unity. Everyone, thanks a lot. Greg, thank you, everyone.
My
and
pleasure.
we'll talk to you all next week.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.